This car came from the factory with 400 plus horsepower, leather seats, and OnStar, but no transmission dipstick. And that would be nice to have right now, since I put the cam in this car and I put in a high stall torque converter. I've been getting a little bit of slippage. And I read on the webs that these cars come from the factory like a quart underfilled and can cause issues. And some people have put in that extra quart and noticed a huge difference on their transmissions with performance, and some people have even said that their transmission slipping has completely gone away. And to be honest, messing with the transmission on this car in a garage is kind of a pain in the butt. You gotta jack it up, get it level, get it up to a certain operating temperature, see if it drips, pump fluid in through the top while simultaneously doing that while the car is hot, dripping fluid all over you, it's all over the floor, you're burning yourself on the exhaust. At least me, it's no fun. So this week in the garage, I'm installing the JRE Dipstick to help me not only make checking my fluid easier, but this thing comes with the fill line 1 quart over. So in the future, I'll be able to see if I'm running that perfect amount of fluid, and I'll be able to check the condition of my transmission fluid more often without having to get under the car to do it. So here's a super quick, down and dirty Cliff Notes version of how this install should go. Remove fill plug from the passenger side of the transmission. Plug this in instead. Mount this somewhere on the transmission, not sure yet. And I'm pretty sure that's it. Done. No cussing, throwing tools, easy job. All right, I'm on the passenger side of the transmission. And right up in there, above that lip, that's where the fill plug is located. I'm gonna reach up there and grab that out of there. I'm just giving it a solid wiggle back and forth with my hand. You might need some pliers to get that out of there in some cases, but that's what it looks like. Pops in, and then you press this little thing in, which locks her down even tighter. So when you're pulling it out, you gotta pop that and then pull the whole thing out. So I'm gonna pull the actual dipstick out of the tubing. Just feel like there's a good chance that might make my life a little easier. All right, after about 20 minutes of fiddling and routing and head scratching, I finally got this thing in here, and I want to show you the way this routes in. So I popped off the connection. There's a this wire coming off this O2 sensor, comes up and mounts right up here on the side of the transmission. So I pop that clip out of there, and then you just move that wire over to the right, or the passenger side. Slide this whole thing to the left of it, because if you try to go in down here, you don't have enough angle. It's too steep to get in there. So pop that clip, slide it in from way back here, and then you'll get the top of it or the front of it, that's going to come out the engine bay over the top of the converter and to the right or passenger side of the exhaust manifold where it goes down. You want to go to the right of that and then push that up in there until the mounting hole is up by the spot on the transmission where you're going to mount it. And then this is up in the fill hole area. But before I get it too settled in, I gotta get that bolt out of there in the transmission, which I tried about 375,000 different ways to get a view of that bolt on the side of the transmission. You're just gonna have to trust me that it's there. You'll see it. There's catalytic converter number 1. There's the bell housing where it mounts. It's the one on the side. It's pretty easy to tell because once you have this thing up there in the hole, it just sits right on. The hole on the JRE tube will guide you to the bolt. But it's pretty easy to see if with your eyeballs, but not on the camera. So, pull that bad boy out of there. I think it's a 15. I hope so. Just cause getting in and out of here. It's a little cumbersome. I'm like 6'3", 220, 30. Depending on how my diet's been lately. So I probably should have put this on 4 jack stands instead of just the ramps, but I'm lazy, and now that is coming back to bite me a little. I'm just gonna move that out of the way. I got an extension, a little wobble thing, just because it looks like that might come in handy. Come on. I got no room for wrenching. I got a better idea, maybe. Real mechanics are probably like, oh, come on, man. You just gotta put it on the flex tip extender. Peace. So far away. First, I'm gonna try this with one extension. See how that works out. Oop. Almost had it, but my trigger was getting hung up on the O2 sensor wire. Double. Are you kidding? While I was down here, I realized the O2 sensor wires from that front one are not connected correctly and have been getting burned by my exhaust manifold. So that need to be replaced. Before I do that, I'd like to finish this job. I'm gonna go with stubby ratchet. That's just too tight of a bolt to have no clearance. There's gotta be a way to get this off without having to take the freaking exhaust off. Maybe I need long extensions and like an impact instead of this thing. All right, 3 extensions. The last one, a wobble extension. 15 millimeter. 18 inches of extension with the wobble. All right. This is it. This is gonna be. I could just. Uh-oh, might be. I got it. It's like 2 inches long, but seemed like it was about 18. Back to the JRE. I don't know if I mentioned that there's a clip of wires up here on the top of, what do you call that? There's some wires clipped to the top of the transmission. You gotta unclip those and kind of push them up to give the tube clearance to get up there. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. This would be just way easier if there was someone up top hold it still while you push it in. God, I can't get it down. Every time I try to get the right angle to press down, it moves up here somewhere. I'm gonna be honest with you. After 30 minutes of trying to get the tube in the hole, there may have been some cussing. But I didn't throw any tools. And the tube is in the hole. I had to phone a friend because basically, hole, tube needs to go down into there, but I was at this angle. So I had to have a friend lift up on it and hold it in place so I could grab up on the top of the tube and push down on it. Every time I tried to grab it and push down, it would just tilt down more. So basically I had to have my buddy just grab onto the tube, hold it up towards the firewall into place so that could give me enough leverage to grab on there and pull that thing down in there. And another thing that I did to try to make a little more lubrication for the metal tube to slide into the green grommet was I just put a little bit of ATF on the end so that way it gave me a little assistance on getting the tube in the hole. So now I'm just going to run under the rail quick, throw in that transmission bolt to get it locked down. I already got it kind of hand started. And then I'll be able to back up the car, check the fluid levels, and see where we're at finally. Luckily the transmission bolt went back in a whole lot easier than it went out. So that was nice and smooth. So I'm just going to double check the wires around there, make sure there's nothing out of place. Put the dipstick in the tube, fire it up, get it off the ramps, and see how much transmission fluid's in this bad boy. And there it is. See, I got that wire routed to the left from this view. I think that's okay. I don't think any of the wires are going to be in any compromised spots. I'll just slide that in there. All right. So we're working it back and forth 16, 17, 20 times. Transmission dipstick installed. Just double checking those wires and making sure they weren't touching the exhaust anymore. I'm gonna have to clean that up. The outside, there's 2 wires that go through there, and the outside's kind of melted, and it's real close to melting the wires on the inside. I might need to do a little bit of rerouting in there to make sure it's way off of there. All right, we got it up to the correct temperature. Time to see where we're at. Well, I didn't expect this. Here's where I'm at on the stick. This is the full line. Full where I'm at. Full where I'm at. I definitely didn't expect it to be omega overfull. I got some thinking to do. Let me get back with you. Well, the good news is I got the JRE installed. I got the fluid levels correct. However, the bad news is after about a 20-minute drive, she's still slipping. So my next step on this transmission is to take it to a different tuner. I want to get a second opinion on that tune, make sure everything is up to snuff. And unfortunately, if everything checks out there, it's time for a rebuild. But either way, I'm glad I got the dipstick in, so it'll make it easier to check levels and just add in the future. If you've installed a JRE dipstick in your car and you have any feedback, please leave it in the comments. I'd like to know as much as I possibly can about this thing, and so would everybody watching. But that's gonna wrap it up this week here in the garage. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. And if you have, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you next week here in the garage.